Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a bit of a game, or in this case, watch a stage play, and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And I am Maddie Grace Webben.
And it's just the two of us today, because we done fucked up, and our friend Francesco...
We rescheduled from yesterday to today, at Eli's request, and frankly, I was more than happy to do that as well, because yesterday wasn't great for me. But we didn't find out about it until later that Matt was... excuse me.
Francesco.
Francesco.
I literally just said his name.
I know, I'm silly. I was... I was literally just looking at Matt Jorgensen's tweets on Twitter, so I guess my brain got confused. Yeah, because Matt's another one of our friends of the show, and he's on Twitter right now tweeting things. Anyway, point is, Francesco didn't find out until the last minute that he could not actually work from home, thus joining us. So whatever, we're just the two of us, just a fucking movie, whatever.
Yeah, it's not anything like. Well, we'll get into it in a bit. How was your week, Maddie?
Oh boy, my week was honestly great, but very eventful. Which is bad, as we've discussed. Events, I hate them. fellas, you hate when you got your life and then an event and then a thing happens. We hate that.
Yeah.
Is it gay to experience events?
I'd say it's downright homophobic.
I don't remember what happened most of the week, but yeah, I really don't. It's all a blur. But, actually, a couple new things. Okay, so, on Thursday, I had a meeting with my boss, and I think I might have told y'all that I was in a little bit of hot water at work because of me not being great at my job. Mm-hmm. Well, even though I was supposed to have my probationary period lasting a bit longer, my boss was like, "You're doing great. You're doing great. All the problems you were having before are resolved. You're really trying your best and doing a good job. So, we'll go ahead and raise your hours back up."
Wow, that's awesome. I'm so happy for you.
Well, it's not instantaneous. I'm a tutor, so I have to get assigned students. But I'm going I'm going back on the list. The reason actually is because specifically right now is prime time for a certain kind of tutoring. We're getting a lot of signups right now. So if my boss made me wait until the end of my probationary period, I would miss it. I would miss the boat when all the new students are showing up. Also, frankly, they probably need me because they need tutors to handle all these new students. And without me, they're one person short, right? So anyway, I still haven't actually got any new students, but that was on Thursday, and it's only Tuesday now. So
yeah.
But I'm expecting to get some client services emails with new students pretty soon, and that'll fill my schedule back up. So that's really exciting.
Nice.
Second thing, I feel like something major happened on Friday, but I don't know what it was. Oh no, I just cleaned the bazonkers out of my house. That's right, and I saw a psychiatrist. And then on Saturday, I went canvassing with my friend, and she went canvassing with me for the first time, and it was a great time. Nice. That's also when I got my new iPhone 11, which is beautiful, and I love it. And I've already dropped it once. That's okay. I have insurance on it, so it's okay that I dropped it. Though I still want to get a case. I didn't get a case because the only cases they had were too expensive and also didn't look good. So I'm like, no, I'm gonna fucking go to a store later. I'll go to Target and get a case later, you know? Anyway, and then on Monday, aka yesterday, was the fucking Iowa caucus, and Eli, have you been following this at all?
Nope. I've been hiding in a hole because I'm scared of everything.
So, first of all, as our friend, not as our friend, but as my friend of the show, Matt Chrisman, a.k.a. Cushbomb from Chapo Trap House. He's not really a friend of the show, that's a joke. As he said in his recent monologue, caring about politics is kind of like a mental illness, because you shouldn't do it and it's bad for you, and you just do it because you desire some sense of control over your life even though you don't. And he's right. No one should care about politics, and it's bad. However, I am one of those people who follows politics.
I had been, but I've gotten so burnt out, and I'm so stressed out over the shit with Trump. And
so last night was some horse shit. long story short, we don't know who won the Iowa caucus because the results haven't been released yet.
Cool. Great.
Here's the thing. That's not normal. Normally, the results are 100% released by, 10 p.m. At the latest.
What the fuck?
And that's 10 p.m., Eastern time?
Yeah.
So, what happened was, instead of doing things the normal way that they normally do, they used some kind of new app, and apparently the app was crashing, so they couldn't get the results, and they're calling people and trying to figure out what's happening, and all the news reporters are calling the Democratic Party, and they're not responding to the phone calls. And then it turns out that the app was developed by the caucus party, but it was also largely funded by the Pete Buttigieg campaign. And then all the candidates end up giving speeches saying, well, we don't know the results yet, but everyone did a great job, we're proud of everyone for trying their best, that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
Pete's speech was basically wow, this is awesome. We don't really know the full results yet, but I won.
Oh my god.
So Pete's going up there saying, I won. Biden's going up there saying, we can't trust the results. The Democratic Party are a bunch of snakes. Meanwhile, no results have been released. It's a lot. There's a lot happening.
Show. It's an absolute
shit show, and it's absolutely insane. And this morning there's still no updates.
This is why I'm afraid. This is why I'm hiding in a hole and don't want to pay attention to politics.
Yep, it's a big old rat fuck is what it is. It's a bunch of horse shit. So that's literally the only thing that my entire brain is consumed by right now. Sorry.
Cool.
Whatever. What's going on with you?
I went and saw Knives Out.
What did you think about that film?
Oh, it was so fucking good.
It's so goddamn good.
I loved it. I loved every moment of it. It was entertaining. It was a beautiful look at rich WASP life and how really terrible these people are, despite, how they pretend that they're not terrible people.
Okay,
but
hold
they're
on.
literally all terrible.
Okay, hold on. Let's fucking chat about this movie.
Okay.
Spoiler alert for the following conversation. Let's talk about it for precisely 90 minutes, and I'm counting the clock. Well, that's right, I meant to say 90 seconds.
Okay.
Saying 90 minutes would have been a funny joke, but actually, that's not what I meant to say. Hold on. Let's talk for 90 seconds, so if you are listening to the pod and you haven't seen the movie and you don't want a spoiler, jump 90 seconds into the future, okay? Go. Okay, I fucking love the fact that the movie ends up being so much about, immigration.
Yeah.
And the experiences of undocumented immigrants. That's so cool.
It is. It's really great. They, and how the characters, they all reacted to that situation in different ways.
Yeah.
They all had their own takes on it, and oh man, there was a lot of way subtler messages underneath what was actually happening.
Yeah, and for the middle part of the movie, you almost for me, I feel in the middle part of the movie, who's the main character? Pierre, whatever his name. Benoit Blanc. That's right. I feel he's almost the bad guy for the middle part because you don't want him to figure out what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Because then the lead hero is in danger if he figures it out.
Right, because I had a twinge at the beginning where I was that all right, how spoilery can I get? We told them
go
to skip
100%
ahead,
spoilery.
Okay. I had a feeling that Marta might not have actually killed the guy. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I was well, I don't know, and I'm really bad at guessing
and
this shit.
Stop. Hey, it's been 90 seconds. Give us about 60 more seconds. Okay. Okay. Eli, continue talking.
Okay. Had a feeling that Marta hadn't actually killed him, but I'm really bad at guessing that stuff. I'm really bad at seeing foreshadowing in the moment. Uh-huh. Once everything happened at the end, where Benoit's going through the whole scenario and explaining how Ransom went and did all this shit, I'm oh, okay, now I can put the pieces together. And I was really glad to know that Marta had not killed the guy. And also the scene with the trick knife was fucking
Yes. Oh my god,
hilarious.
that was one of the things that actually was smart enough to figure out. At first, he jumps towards her with the knife and stabs it, and I went, oh! And I like freaked out. I was like, oh my god, did they seriously just kill her? But then a split second later, like there's about maybe 20 seconds in between you think she died and then it turns out she didn't. And I actually figured it out in that moment. You know, like I remembered, oh, the scene from earlier. I figured this out. And so, okay, we're now out of spoiler zone. Hi, welcome back. I like that, like, I wasn't really that smart. Like, I still got shocked and tricked, but still, I figured out the twist, like, 10 seconds before it was revealed, you know? And also, one thing I was going to say that wasn't spoilery. Oh, yeah, I agree with you. I also sort of guessed that aspect of the twist for who did it, who actually didn't do it. But what I loved about it, and now I'm being non-spoilery, is that I had a hunch of what was the case, but I couldn't figure out how.
Yeah.
You know? I was like, I think this is what happened, but I can't for the life of me figure out how that's actually a thing that could have happened. I don't understand or have any proof. I just have a hunch.
Yeah.
Right? But then, what a good movie. I'm so glad you got to see it. And how about
fantastic.
Daniel Craig's accent?
Yes. it was really good. He makes a good Nolan's boy.
Yeah. Did you hear the news that Rian Johnson wants to make it into a series?
Really?
Yeah. He's like, this movie was really popular and successful, and I'm already thinking of ideas for writing a script, and I would love it if this could just be a long-running series.
Oh, please. I would watch the fuck out of that.
Some people on the internet have joked that in every movie he should just have a different accent. And they don't explain it.
That'd be great.
Yep. My favorite character in the movie, though, was the character played by Michael Shannon. He was the guy who, and this really isn't a spoiler, you find out very early on, the guy who, like, cheated on his wife, you know, that guy?
Oh, yeah.
That isn't he the one who was, like, he makes a Hamilton joke or something?
I think he did.
Do the whole, like, we're woke, we watch Hamilton, you know?
Yeah. Well, he was the one who was really going on about immigrants.
That's him. I loved that character's performance. I think he's a fan. Michael Shannon, a lot of people really love him and think he's a great actor. He's got a big fan base. I'm not really very familiar with his work, but I thought he did a fantastic job in that.
Yeah, he did. Everybody was great.
Yeah, and the costumes and the sets.
That I loved that like ring of knives around the chair.
Yes.
So that it formed like a really weird halo kind of effect.
What I loved was, obviously the idea of having an entire ring of knives with a chair in the middle of it is that all the knives are pointing at the person in the chair. Obviously that's a very obvious metaphor.
Yes.
But did you notice that it wasn't until towards the end of the film that they ever actually used the camera angle where you see the person in the middle of the knives? Up until that point, even though it's obvious what's happening conceptually, you don't actually see it because it's always from a sideways angle.
Yeah.
Which is funny. It's like, they're not, even though it's like the most obvious metaphor ever, and yet they're not showing you the metaphor.
Right.
What a strange thing.
I thought it was a really interesting choice. Also, this is a Knives Out podcast now.
If they make a series, then we could totally have a fucking Knives Out podcast. God. No, it's just a great movie. I love Rian Johnson. I think he might be my favorite modern working director. Even though I think I've seen all but one of his films. I just haven't seen Brick.
I've only seen The Last Jedi and Knives Out, and I love The Last Jedi.
Yeah, Last Jedi is an amazing movie. Another movie I've seen of his that is not as good, but most people say it's his weakest film, is The Brothers Bloom. It's a movie about two brothers who are con artists, and they kind of get caught up in this sort of wild shenanigans. And it's kind of like Knives Out, where there's just like twist on top of twist on top of twist. There's actually even more twists. And it's a very complicated movie. And I forget who one of the brothers is, but the other one is Adrian Brody, who's an actor I like a lot. Mm-hmm. And then the other famous movie he did is a movie called Brick. That movie is really, really well beloved. I think it might have got nominated for some Oscars. But also, he's directed a bunch of TV shows or a bunch of TV episodes, including, like, have you seen Breaking Bad?
No.
Well, he directed basically the 2 unequivocally best episodes of Breaking Bad.
Oh, okay.
And I think he wrote one of them. So, like, if you look at any TV show that he's involved with, it's like, oh, he wrote and directed the best episode of the whole show.
Gotcha.
So, he's fucking great. I love him. I love our boy. I love my boy Rian Johnson.
Awesome. Well,
I'm so glad that I don't need to just say, you need to watch Knives Out. Now I can say, you already watched Knives Out.
Yes, I did.
The only thing that would have made Knives Out better is if it were a musical. That's our segue.
Oh my god, a musical version of Knives Out? I want to see the Broadway play.
That would be awesome. I should tweet at Rian Johnson and say, hey, have you considered this?
Please do. Please do.
He seems like a goofball, so I bet he would. Anyway, so for our movie for this, we actually didn't tell you this last week because we forgot that we do this, even though we'd already discussed doing this, we just forgot because we're dumb. Or I'm dumb at least.
I just forget things.
So we always try to watch a movie that relates to the game we play to have a little break. So this time around we watched one of the, I believe, multiple Phoenix Wright stage productions. Mm-hmm. It's called Phoenix Wright the Musical, The Truth
Reborn.
Truth Reborn, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
It's basically Rise from the Ashes.
Yeah, it's an original musical, and it's non-canon. It doesn't like fit into canon in any kind of way because like in this one, like Phoenix is just now meeting Miles Edgeworth for the first time. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of like an origin story, like Miles' first case, but the plot is much more like the case we just did, Rise from the Ashes. It involves 2 sisters. It involves a murder in the past that may or may not have happened, but it's a lot simpler, and it's got some cool little twists to it.
It's also worth noting, this is a Takarazuka review. Takarazuka, if you're not familiar with it, is all female casts. So every character is played by a woman.
I was curious about that. So that's like a special kind of thing.
It's like the opposite of Kabuki, because Kabuki is all men. Takarazuka is all women. All the Sailor Moon shows, they're not done. I don't think they're done by the Takarazuka company. But all the more recent Sailor Moon musicals have been the same kind of all-female cast.
Oh, so this isn't... what's it called again?
Takarazuka.
Takarazuka. So that's not just a word for a type of thing, but it's actually a specific group that does it.
I believe so, yes.
Neat. That's cool. Thank you for that information, because I was curious about that. Yeah. So first thing about this show, everyone's a girl. Which isn't to say that the genders are changed in the canon, but everyone is played by women. Most of the characters are men. Canonically, you got Phoenix, you got Edgeworth, you got Gumshoe, you got the Judge,
Larry Butts.
You got Larry Butts, and they're all played by the cutest people. And then you got some actual female characters, such as Maya, and some original characters. Do not steal. Phoenix Wright is played by a absolutely beautiful person. I did not look up any of the actors' names, so I don't know any of their names, so sorry for that, but shout out to them for being extremely hot.
Yeah. They're all super hot.
Yeah. Also, Eli, you said this, and I agree. Remember how like Miles Edgeworth and Phoenix Wright have always kind of had this homoerotic thing going on?
Uh-huh.
Oh boy. They turned that one way up.
Yeah, they did.
Except now instead of it's still homoerotic, but for girls instead of for boys. It's like, what if we kissed ... in the courtroom, and we're both girls? Haha, just kidding. Unless,
yeah. Well, and Phoenix, like, Leona, the female protagonist, who is she's being put on trial for murder, apparently had a relationship with Phoenix in the past, and they end up getting together at the end. But I'm just like, that's not true. This is just an alternate universe.
Yeah, so that's one of the main twists in this that I thought was really cool. Even though I agreed it's not the correct ship. But they added in a love interest. Phoenix has never really had a love interest before. Mm-hmm. He does in one of the later games. Spoiler. Well, don't get too excited, Eli. In a later game, Phoenix has a love interest, but it's a flashback love interest.
Okay.
Who does not appear in the game itself, I don't think. Also, she ends up being like a awful. But yeah, so in this, the defendant is an old flame of Nick's. Which I think is a really smart move to add some extra drama to what's already a very sappy and schmaltzy production.
Yes.
Also, she's beautiful.
Yeah, she is.
She is absolutely gorgeous. Her name is Leona Lewis.
Leona Clyde.
Leona Lewis is some kind of singer from the 90s. Early aughts. I don't know. Anyway, Leona Clyde. So at the beginning of the show, Maya and Nick are hanging out in the office as usual. Oh, Eli, you picked up on some interesting things about the setting of this story. You were asking some questions like, are we sure about all the stuff we said about the original Phoenix Wright taking place in Japan? Because this all takes place in America.
Yeah,
here's what I think.
It sure does.
I think, but did you hear when they were talking, they also kept saying Phoenix and kept saying Nick?
Yep.
That's also not his name in the Japanese.
Okay.
So I think they just, for this stage production, went with the westernized names for things.
Maybe. I mean, they were definitely saying America and California and New York and things like that.
Right, but they were also saying, actually, let me look this up real quick, actually. Because I was going to look this up, and then I forgot because I'm bimbo. Hold on. Oh no, I clicked a button and then immediately realized I should have clicked a different link instead, but the first link was already loading, and I was like, no.
Well...
Yeah, so Phoenix Wright's name in the Japanese is, and I'm gonna butcher this, I don't know anything about Japanese, sorry, Naruhodo Ryuichi, right? Which, I think those are just regular names, right? Maybe Naruhodo means something. Oh, that's right. It means I see in English because he sees things. So it's not Phoenix, but I'm hearing the actors in this show saying Phoenix and saying Nick.
They definitely are doing that.
So I think they probably just changed this shit to be Western style. I don't know why they did that. Maybe they just wanted to. So that's weird.
Huh.
Yeah.
Where are you seeing his?
I googled Phoenix Wright, and it's the Wikipedia page on Phoenix Wright, the character.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. And local calling him Phoenix is definitely just a creation of the localizers.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, but I guess the people who made this musical production must have seen the Western versions and thought it was cool or something because they went with it.
Yeah.
So that's just weird. There's no way around it. It's weird. I don't know. It's kind of cool though.
Yeah, it really is.
Because the characters are called things that I'm familiar with.
Yeah, they had Dick Gumshoe and Larry Butts and Edgeworth and like.
Oh yeah, I forgot that like all of those names were made up by localizers. So yeah.
Yep.
Yep. But it's cool for us.
That is very interesting. Then yeah, they just fucking went with the localization stuff instead of the original Japanese. So maybe it was because they hoped to have Western audiences come attend the show or something.
Yeah, maybe that's exactly what it was. Or they just thought it was cool. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who am I to say? This is already a bizarre concept. Anyway, Nick is chilling in his office, and Maya's there, and then all of a sudden someone barges in, and I'm already forgetting, is it Leona that barges in?
I don't remember.
Yeah, it doesn't actually make sense.
I watched it in chunks.
No, that's right. He's watching the news.
Yeah.
Oh, first of all, Larry Butts barges in, and he's just going on and on about some dame as usual, just the usual shit. And Nick's just like, "Can you not?"
Can you not?
And he's like, "Okay," and he goes away. He's very cute though. He's very funny. And then Nick sees on the television that in New York, because he's currently in California, in New York, actually, they never really... I think he's actually in New York in this one.
No, they are in California. Leona worked in New York.
Okay, previously, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, because they keep going back to his office, right? So obviously they're in California the whole time. Anyway, whatever. Point is, he sees on the news that the setup's pretty cool. A senator has been murdered. The senator, I guess from New York.
And it's close to a presidential election.
Yeah. So a very popular senator has been murdered, and the person who murdered the senator is, oh no, this person named Leona Clyde. And Phoenix, Nick, recognizes that name, because it's his old flame. So he says, oh no, what the hell? So he decides to get himself involved. He goes over to where Leona is, and he says, hey, this is Nick. I'm going to represent you. And she gives us the exact same shit we got from the previous chapter, which is, yeah, I did it. I stabbed the damn guy. And it happens in the same place too. It happens in the parking garage, right? And this is where we get some backstory. We learn about how when they were young, it's a song where he confesses his love for her. And it's a really sweet song.
It is very.
The songs in this are pretty fucking good, and they can sing pretty fucking good. Their voices are good. They're not amazing, but that's because the audio quality of this YouTube video wasn't that good. So I can't really comment on the quality of their singing.
They seemed fine.
But their dancing is fucking great.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dancing in this, and it's really good. People dancing while in full suits is very, very cool.
Yes, it is.
So anyway, yeah, we get a little love song, but we don't follow up. We don't actually know that they were lovers. We just know that Nick confessed his love, and then that's it. It's like, wait, is that it? Is this just like a childhood thing? We find out later that there's more to it than that. So she says, I did it. I fucking killed the guy. He's like, I don't fucking believe you because I believe in my clients. He says the Leona I knew would never do that. Right? So they go on, they do an investigation. It's a very simplistic investigation. There's like 3 clues, and it takes like 5 seconds. There's like a knife, and there's like, what else? Oh, so let's talk about the production design a little bit. I don't know, like, they do all these tricks. One of the tricks I'm thinking of, but I want you to fill us in. One of the tricks they do is whenever he finds a clue, there's like a projection screen in the background, and it'll go do-do-do and make the sound effect for a clue, and then it'll show the clue like it's a fucking video game. It's great. The music is, when they're not singing, the score is all music from the game. Mm-hmm. So it's like, what's the fucking music when you're doing investigations? It's all like... I've been listening to too much Final Fantasy VIII soundtrack, so I can't remember any other video game music. But when something sad happens, it's like do 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 do. You know that song that plays a lot. That song plays a lot in this show, and it's really pretty. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And then there's like. Later, when people are testifying, it's like the do 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 do.
Yeah, and it's all orchestrated versions of it rather than.
Yeah. The Pit is really doing a good job. I was just watching the YouTube video that was supplied to us to watch because I didn't feel like finding a new one, but I would be interested in maybe not watching this whole thing again because that would take 2.5 hours or 2 hours and 15 minutes, but like at least watching parts of it with better sound quality because I bet the music, I bet it just sounds great.
Yeah.
The pit was probably killing it. If there's like a recording, just like an audio recording of it that you can get that's high quality, I would definitely listen to that. Yeah, and again, the singing is really nice. Anyway, they investigate. Dick Gumshoe shows up. What can we say about Dick Gumshoe's performance?
He was very interesting. The translator definitely like took some liberties, I think, and made it more like how they localized Dick Gumshoe.
Probably, yeah.
His speech patterns and stuff, like saying "pal." I don't think that was a thing he was doing in the Japanese.
Yeah, probably not.
From what I could tell, based on how the actor was speaking.
Yeah. His mannerisms, he's actually even more dumb and incompetent in this than he is in the in the games. Well, the games don't have animation, right?
Right.
The games are just still images. So, like, there's funny jokes, but you don't actually see anything happening. But that's the main difference is in this show, they're moving around, right? They're moving and talking in live action. It's not presented like a VN. So instead of it being like an off-screen thing where Gumshoe shows up and he's like, "Oh, hey, sorry, I accidentally just knocked something over." Of course, in this, we just see him knock something over. And that provides a lot of room for interpretation of character. So in this, he's way clumsier. He's always, like, his body language is not actually what I would have imagined, honestly. I would have imagined him to be more slow-moving and stocky, because that's kind of what he looks like. But instead, he's like a bumbling oaf. And he's sneezing constantly. I don't know why. He just, like, has a cold. He's just very high energy, and I love him.
Yeah, I do too. I also, they gave the actress a very big coat so that she looks much bigger than she actually is.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Yeah.
It's funny, even though visually, as far as, like, body type and stuff, they really don't look like the characters at all, which, like, is fine. They still give them pretty much the same outfits. So yeah, it's quite funny. You got her wearing this big fucking coat. You've got Larry Butts wearing his stupid Larry Butts outfit.
He's got his big cowlick in the front, too.
Yes, yes. Oh, my goodness. You got Miles and Nick both have their hair being their hair. Lots of hairspray in the production of this musical.
Yeah.
To get their hair just the right way. I gotta say, Miles Edgeworth's hair looked great. Larry Butts' hair looked great. Character who we haven't talked about yet, his hair looked great. Nick's hair could have been bigger. Yeah,
they didn't go with the typical Phoenix Wright hairstyle where it's just like big spikes going back.
I know it's a fake anime hairstyle, but they could have done it.
Yeah.
You can make hair look like that. It would look fucking stupid, but that's okay. Like, that's okay. It would have fit the tone of the show. The whole show's very goofy and dumb anyway. Like, I don't know. Why didn't they do that? Maybe it looked too bad, and maybe the actress didn't want to look ugly. Maybe.
I don't think she could possibly look ugly.
That's true. But you know how actors will have, like, contracts, right? Where they're like, no, I have to look just insanely hot all the time. I can't have hair that's that bad.
Yeah. That's fair.
That's my only guess. Who knows? Because Miles's hair was spot on.
Oh yeah, it was perfect.
Anyway, so we learn about the case. Characters introduce themselves a lot. It's like Cats. Miles shows up. And has a song, and Miles' intro song, I think, is the highlight of the show.
Oh, it really is. It's great.
It's so good. I think the name of it would probably be, like, My Rules, and he talks about how he plays by his own rules. He's dancing around. He's got this super cool, jazzy, jive, shimmy, shuffle style to his music. All of his music, even if he shows up in someone else's song, he's got that kind of style of singing.
Yeah.
It's this minor key, groovy kind of thing. He has a shit ton of backup dancers.
Yes.
Whenever Miles is on screen, there's like a dozen backup dancers wearing like dark black and red that are just dancing around mimicking his moves or whatever. The choreography is very elaborate. He and Nick have like a duet here, even though they're not in the same place at the same time. It's more like they're just thinking about each other and how they're rivals, right?
It does nothing to dispel the fact that Wrightworth is definitely canon.
It is they're leaning into it hard, absolutely,
and it's great. Like the whole song starts with Phoenix singing about how great Edgeworth is.
Yeah, no, they are looking at each other with emotions in their eyes. They are pointing at each other dramatically. They are both being really, really hot. And the thing about this show is, and again, this is probably the style you were talking about, they don't have like a shit ton of makeup. It's not like they're, because you can really make up someone to look like, a different gender very easily, especially with professional makeup, right? Yeah. Like, you can really, really go hard on it. They're not really doing that. Like, Phoenix Wright doesn't... It's funny having two transes having this discussion, but, setting aside more complicated notions of gender, let's ignore that stuff for a second. Like, from a more normative standpoint, it doesn't look like this... Phoenix Wright is a man here, traditionally, a traditional man. It looks like a butch... it looks just like a butch lady, right?
Yeah.
Which is what makes this stuff so super hot for me.
No, I 100% agree there.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I know that they could, again, professional makeup artists, they could have gone way harder and been like, these are two men that are hanging out. It's like, no, these are two butch lesbians and they're in love. Oh man, if only Francesca von Karma was in this one. Slight spoiler for you, Eli. In one of the future games, remember von Karma, one of the villains?
Yeah.
He has a daughter named Francesca, and she's like him. She's extremely domineering, just like him, but even more so. And she's one of the prosecutors, and she just has a whip, and she has the whip in the courtroom. And she just will whip people.
Wow.
It's like Nick will like do an objection, and then she'll like whip Nick in the face. It's really hot.
I just looked her up. I love her.
Yeah. So it's a shame she's not in this musical. Yeah, no, she's got massive Step on Me energy. I bet she shows up in another one of these musicals.
Oh my god, she's only 18.
Of course she fucking is. Go figure. Well, whatever.
That is not... Phoenix Wright Wiki, that is not a 13-year-old girl. Like, I'm looking at her 13-year-old picture, and...
Oh, yeah, that's right. There's baby Francesca. Oh, she's so cute. So you get to the first day of the trial, and Nick is there. Oh, you learn more about these characters, right? What you learn more about is, after Nick confessed his love, apparently they dated for a while. They were thick as thieves. They were inseparable. They were a great couple. Everyone loved them. There's a song that's just like sort of a montagey song of them just being in love. Nothing even is happening. It's just like showing how they've been together for a long time and love each other. It's a beautiful song. But then one day, so then eventually she goes off to New York. And I thought, could they not withstand a long distance relationship? No, that's not it either. She just goes off to New York, and they still love each other. And then one day, Nick just gets a call, and it's a very short call. She's just like, Nick, I can't be with you anymore. I have to end our relationship. I'm sorry. And then she hangs up, that shit's cold.
Yeah. Brutal.
That is, as someone who's, been through some shit, that would just completely fuck me up for a good decade, probably. Yeah, it's fucking brutal. It's brutal as shit. Turns out that was around 2 years ago. And he hasn't seen her since. So it's funny to me that when he sees her on the news, he's like, I'm gonna go save her. I don't know. I think he would have been like, I'm gonna go save her, but also, like, I'm kind of traumatized by this person.
Yeah.
Then again, maybe he's a fucking himbo, so he probably
is
just like, I can't wait to see her. I can't wait to see her again and save her, right? I can see that.
He's a good boy.
Yeah, he's a good boy. So anyway, You know what else happened 2 years ago? It turned. We'll get to that in a second. So day one of the trial, we have a trial. They go back and forth. They present some evidence. Nick presents some evidence. They do some cross-examination. It's done just like the game. They'll give a testimony, and then he'll make them repeat the testimony, and then he'll do hold it's and ask them to elaborate, and then he'll also do objections.
I love when he smacks the desk just like in the game.
The actress's hold it action is very, very good. She smacks the table dramatically and gives that look. It's super good. She and Edgeworth go back and forth, and it's just really, really good. Eventually, it turned out... Oh, so then we get our first surprise. Turns out there's a photographer on the scene, just like what we already had. But instead of it being Angel whatever with her bento boxes... Angel Star, no. Turns out the witness was Lotta Hart.
They're just bringing characters from other games. Yeah,
I think they're just like, hey, fans love this character, so why not, right?
Yeah.
So Lotta shows up, and she's a hoot and a half.
She's great.
Very exaggerated, very fucking dumb. She does not have an elaborate plot like she did in the games. She just is the witness who took a picture. That's it. There's this thing where she keeps saying that she always gets the double shot, and her personality is that she always takes two pictures. I don't know why. That's just like her quirk. And then one of Nick's big things is like, wait, you just said you always take two pictures. Why is there only one picture? So Miles Edgeworth says, okay, I wasn't going to show the second picture, but I actually had it all along. I wasn't suppressing evidence, buddy. Like, it's fine.
It's the same picture, is what he says.
Yeah, it turns out it's not the same picture. It's worse. Like, the first picture was pretty incriminating. It was like the suspect standing over a dead body with a knife. But the second picture is like the suspect literally like stabbing a knife into a guy.
Yeah, she's holding the knife up.
Yeah, and he's basically like, look, dude, there's like 100 people in this courtroom, including children. I wasn't gonna just fucking show this picture. It's kind of extremely gruesome.
Which is a nod to the audience.
Yeah, which is very cute. Anyway, Nick is just like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. This thing that I thought was going to be a good idea just literally made it seem even more guilty. But then Nick is like, wait, this new picture does have the evidence. What does he do? He points at the knife. He says, the knife's already got blood on it. How can a knife already have blood on it if you're about to stab a guy?
Yeah.
The autopsy report shows one stabbing. So therefore, at this picture, she's not stabbing the guy, she's removing a knife from a guy that has already been stabbed. That doesn't prove that she stabbed him. We have no proof that she stabbed anybody. Makes sense. And they're like, oh, damn, And then the judge is just like, okay, let's adjourn and come back tomorrow. Then they all sing a big number where a lot of them reprise their various parts. Like Edward sings about how it's his rules, and Nick sings about how he's gonna save the day and how he believes in himself. And then he and Ray Liotta sing about how they are in love. And this is the closing of the first act. Is why they're all singing a big reprise, right? Mm. And also a highlight. Everyone's on stage. Everyone's dancing. All of these interplay of different parts. I love it when different people are singing at the same time, because I'm a fucking Sondheim bitch. The chorus is also singing and dancing a lot of stuff. They're singing the main theme of the show, which is like the da-da-da-da-da, you know, that one. Yeah, it's great. That's the end of Act 1. Act 2 is a lot longer. It's really weird. Act 1 is like 50 minutes, and Act 2 is like an hour and a half. Yeah. Not quite, but it's a big difference in length. Act 2, we do a lot more investigation. Like Eli said, we find out that there was another murder that happened 2 years ago. Hey, that's the same time that Nick got the breakup call.
Weird.
It's interesting. It ends up being kind of the same case, but you find out the information all in a different order. Like it all the way it all becomes relevant is different. Like, this part's important, and then this part's important. It's, like, backwards. Anyway, turns out What's-Her-Ass has a sister, and the sister looks just like Emma Skye from before.
Yeah.
She looks like she's dressed up as a scientist. At no point do they mention her being a scientist, though. In fact, in this one...
she's a doctor.
She's a doctor. So she still looks like the same, like scientific investigator or whatever, but no. She's a doctor, and she carries a giant, like, briefcase around with her all the time with, like, all the materials she needs to, like, do surgery on somebody.
Just randomly gotta do surgery, I guess.
Which I was expecting to be a Chekhov gun. I was expecting, like, later someone to have, like, a heart attack, like, in the courtroom, and she has to, like, do emergency surgery on someone as, like, the climax of the show. But no, this is just a character thing that never comes up again. I just realized one thing that could have been funny is at the end when the real killer is revealed and finally, like, confesses and stuff, having him have, like, a heart attack and then her having to save him, that would have been fun.
Yeah.
Oh, right. One thing we forgot, they introduced the villain, who's obviously the villain. So, what's her name? I don't know what's wrong with me. Who is the name of the suspect?
Leona.
Leona Clyde. It's not that hard to remember. Leona was a lawyer, and Leona is the assistant, like, head lawyer person, I forget the title, of the governor of New York, I think. So, yeah, the governor of New York. So you got the governor and the senator. So it's his assistant, and it's like, oh, that's really weird. Like, he does a song about how, like, oh, this is really embarrassing for me. This makes me look really bad. I can't believe that my assistant has done such a thing. Oh, and so close to the election too. Bloody blah. And I'm like, bitch, you killed him. Anywho, we find out that 2 years ago there was another murder case, and it was kind of similar to the last one. There was someone in the courtroom. He got away. He did a bloody blah. But this time around, it turns out that Leona and Leona's sister and the victim's brother, and the victim and the governor were all involved in this earlier case. Obviously, there's a connection there. One difference from the game, if you noticed from just now what I just said, is that before it was Marshall's brother who was killed. In this one, it's the victim's brother who was killed. So that's interesting. You're kind of rolling the victim and someone investigating the crime into one character, which is a lot more efficient, IMO.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, sorry, my phone made a really dumb noise, and I don't know what it was.
Oh, cool.
Okay, cool. Anyway, yeah, so you learn more about that, and right off the bat, it's just like, okay, yeah, like, there was a murder, and the sister was held hostage, and the sister accidentally killed the guy, and the older sister wanted to protect her, so she covered it up, and the governor guy wanted a lackey, so he helped her frame it up, and then used her for 2 years. It's all the exact same plot, with a few differences. In some ways, I think it works better, actually. Just because it's simpler and the motivations are clearer in some ways.
Yeah.
The main thing about it that makes it work better, I'll say later. But yeah, you interview a lot of people, and a lot of people talk. You, like it's a game. You learn more about Leona. All the stuff I said earlier about how the 2 years ago he got that phone call. We learn about that at this point. I just told you earlier, because why not? We get the whole backstory about Nick and Miles, about their childhood and when he defended them, and they actually use the images of them as kids from the game.
Yes.
Although, you notice they changed something, right?
They added Leona in there.
Yeah, so before, we had those really cute anime pictures of Phoenix Wright as a babby, and Miles Edwards as a babby, but then it shows this blonde-haired girl, and Leona as a babby. And, like, she didn't do anything, she was just also there. So it's Nick and Miles and Larry Butts and Leona. We're all best friends in 4th grade. So once again, we've got multiple storylines kind of being combined into one, in a way that I think is neat. And there's not much there. You learn about it, and you learn about Nick's feelings for Edgeworth and Edgeworth's feelings for Nick and all that good stuff.
Yes.
And how they're in lesbians with each other, but also in gay with each other. They're lesbian and gay at the same time. That's what's so cool about it.
Yes. It's very trans.
They're he/him lesbians. That probably is the most accurate description of what's going on here.
Yeah.
They're he/him lesbians, and it's the 80s as well, because of their outfits. And,
Yes.
This is the whole, I'm a strong businesswoman, that kind of thing. That's a very 80s sort of thing.
Yeah.
Those big suits. Anyway, I don't know. A lot of stuff happens. Characters sing about their feelings a lot more, and all the songs are real good. And Edgeworth has another song. And then we get to trial 2. And trial day number 2 is the final day. It doesn't go on to a third day this time around. It's just trial day number 2. And we do a bunch of cross investigation. At first, we investigate Leona, and she ain't saying shit. Her performance is really good, IMO.
Yeah, it is.
She's like stone face, like her the way that she changes, where she's very soft when she's in other scenes, but then she's just very stoic, not letting any emotions in. You can tell that she's very scared. Oh, Nick actually straight up accuses her earlier in the scene, in the investigation. He just straight up accuses her. He says, "Okay, I know you're fucking covering for someone now."
Yeah.
He just straight up says it, and she's just like, "I don't know what you're talking about." So at this point, she knows. So she's getting more defensive, getting more stoic, retreating into her shell, just saying, "This is all I'm telling you." But then Nick calls to the stand. Oh, and then she does the same thing from the game where she says, "You're fired as my defense attorney."
Yeah.
And the court and the judge says, "Well, okay, then I guess I'm going to have to declare her guilty." But then once again, Edgeworth saves the day by saying, "Objection, I haven't gotten justice yet. We have to continue this trial." So Edgeworth himself calls the sister, whose name is...
Fuck. I forgot.
Whatever. Edgeworth calls the sister to the stand, and then Edgeworth does the interrogation. One thing I like here is, in the game,
Monica.
they always... What's that? Monica. In the game, they always had to make it where Nick is the one doing the cross-examination, because otherwise the player wouldn't have gameplay. But in this, they don't have to worry about that. So Miles Edgeworth pretty much does this whole thing. He does the cross-examination because Nick has been fired as attorney. So Monica talks, and she says that she was kidnapped, but then she fainted and blah-de-blah-de-blah, and then they find out, oh no, there was a second person in the room. This is a good one. Eli, do you remember how Nick finds out there was a second person in the room?
Oh, gosh.
Has to do with clothing.
I lost it.
I just watched this last night, so that's why
I watched it earlier in the day yesterday, and
I watched it at 2 a.m. last night, so because I was out late looking at politics and rotting my brain. What happens is, she's like, he presses her to really say what she remembers, and then she's like, "Oh, that's right. I remember seeing her come in, and or seeing the killer come in, and then the detective come in, or whatever. And then I couldn't see his face, but I saw a man in a suit stabbing the guy." And then Nick is like, "That proves it." And here, Nick's being smarter than me. I didn't figure this out. Nick's like, "That proves it." And they're like, "What?" And he's like, the person who we all thought was the person who got into a fight with the killer. Oh, sorry. One difference from the game, they both died.
Yes.
The victim and the suspect, in the 2 years ago case, both died. Whereas before, it was the victim died and the suspect went to jail. So that's interesting. That's actually an important difference. So it's like they both got into a fight, and the suspect stabbed the victim, the brother, in the chest. But then also the victim, because they had a fight, also died of wounds, I guess, maybe a little bit later. So anyway, point is, Monica's like, "Yeah, I saw them fighting. It was the suspect, or the victim, and a guy in a suit. I couldn't see his face. It was a guy in a suit." And Nick is like, "Aha, the brother, who was a detective, was on duty that day, he wouldn't have been wearing a suit. He would have been wearing detective clothes. That proves it was a different person. And I'm like, that's actually really smart. And I'm surprised they haven't used that in the games. Like, that's the kind of very, very good intuition and very, very good discrepancy that I would love to figure out in a video game as me, the player. That's the highlight, I think, as far as the investigation and the being a good lawyer goes in this show. I think that's the best part of it.
Yeah, I think so too.
So then you blow it up, you find out there was a second person, then who should show up but the governor? He shows up in the courtroom and says, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, I'm here now. And then you do some more investigation. Eventually you accuse him of doing exactly what he did do. You accuse him of helping, you say, aha, Monica actually killed the guy on accident, and you and Leona covered it up.
I like how you're still referring to Phoenix as you.
Yes, that's true. Yes. I'm so in my head. You and Phoenix covered it up. You and Leona covered it up, and you wanted a lackey because, for reasons I won't go into, Leona is very famous because both of her parents were very famous lawyers. So having someone with a high profile as her would really help his political career, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I did explain it. That's pretty much it. There's more to it than that a little bit, but not much. Anyway, eventually after some prodding and some evidence showing and some objectioning, Nick proves that that's true, and he admits it. He says, okay, fine, we both did it together. We both went in there. We saw that actually it was Monica who had stabbed the guy, so I removed that knife and put in... Oh, no, sorry, not remove that knife. Yeah, we fabricated the evidence scene. We modified the crime scene to cover it up, blah, 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 blah. And then Nick says, and this is another good one. Turns out that the weapon that stabbed the guy was a scalpel, a.k.a. the sort of thing that Monica has with her all the time. But Nick says, a scalpel ain't that sharp. You can't use a scalpel to stab somebody.
Yeah, it's for cutting for medical procedures, not for stabbing someone.
You could not possibly stab a person, especially a person wearing clothes, with a scalpel. So that proves it could not possibly murder. That's just absurd. So what happened? And this is also pretty cool and is, again, different from anything in the games. He's like, what must have happened is you stabbed him with... you actually got there first. You actually killed the guy. You, Governor. You stabbed the guy. Then you removed the knife and stuck in the scalpel. And then he says something... there's a lot of little puns here, actually.
He says you better believe it at one point.
Oh, yeah.
They're talking about butter knife.
He says... Yeah, I think that's a little bit later. First he says... This isn't really a pun, but he's like... You slip the scalpel in like a knife, as easy as a knife through butter. And they're like, that's crazy. And he goes, you better believe it. Fucking Nick. And anyway, everyone's shocked. Blah-de-blah-de-blah. Of course, Leona is extra shocked. So he's like, you actually killed her or killed him. Then you made Leona think that her sister killed him. And then blah-de-blah-de-blah. The same plot we already know. Then not a whole lot more effort is required to get him to confess. It was a little fast, honestly. You just say one or two things, and then the guy's... Nick just says one or two things. And then the guy's just like, I confess it. So he confesses it. Here's the part I like a lot. His motivation. In the game, it was this sort of complicated shenanigans, and the bad guy was more just like straight up evil. In this, it was just desperation. He was in the room with the guy, and how did it go? He's in the room, the governor is in the room with the bad person, and he, I think, gets into a fight with the guy, and then he ends up stabbing him and killing him. Maybe not stabbing him, but like killing him somehow. Knocks him. I think he like pushes him and his head hits against a chair or something. And then he's like, oh shit, I just killed a guy. I'm a politician. I don't want to get framed for killing. I don't want to get in trouble for killing a guy, even though it was self-defense. But I don't want that to happen, right? And that makes sense. So then the detective saw him do it, so he, in a total panic, kills the detective as well. And then he made it look like they killed each other, thus, absolving him of any problems. All totally makes sense. He's a politician. He's a climber. He probably does want to help people and help the world, but when he's put in this situation, his bad side gets the better of him, and to protect himself, he commits an accidental murder and then a not accidental murder, and then he realizes he can frame Monica for it in order to get this really, really successful, or this really, really good and famous lawyer to be his lackey. So he just sets it all up, and the reason he confesses so easily, I think, is here. He says, like, I regret it. I shouldn't have done it. I'm a terrible person. I wanted to help people as a politician, but I lost my way, and I'm no good, you know. So that's it. He confesses. He's really sorry, but of course he still has to, like, go to jail and shit. Everyone's really, really shocked that an American politician could do crimes.
Oh,
wouldn't
cute.
that be crazy if in this country politicians did crimes and then covered up crimes and lied?
I can't even imagine that happening.
I can't imagine living in a world where something like that happens.
No.
Yeah, so everyone's really shocked, and he ends up going to jail, and then Monica is going to get in trouble because she did fabricate a lot of evidence, and also apparently in her time with the governor, she's been doing some bad things to help the governor be a corrupt governor, which again, can't imagine that being a real life thing.
Yeah.
That's also why she broke up with Nick, obviously, because of all that shit. Anyway, she's gonna go to jail. But Edgeworth and Miles here have some very gay words for each other. He says something like, "You've helped me see something I'd never seen before," you know, stuff like that,
Yeah.
gazing into his eyes, which is awesome. But they don't kiss. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, here's Leona. You can have 5 minutes with her before we gotta take her to jail." So then Nick and Leona talk, and this is fucking bullshit. Okay, she runs all the way across the screen to a big rush of music, and then then they hug, and it's super sweet. And then they pull away from the hug, and their faces are very close together.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
They're totally playing it up. Their faces are so close together. Their cheeks brush, and they look into each other's eyes, and they fucking hug again.
Yep.
It's bullshit. I'm upset.
Such bullshit.
They fucking kiss, okay? And also, if they kissed, it wouldn't even be gay, because in the fiction of the story, that is a hetero kiss. I don't know why they didn't kiss. Maybe it's because of some homophobia, or they didn't want to have two female actors kissing. Maybe it's... Huh?
That's basically it.
I figured that's probably it. I didn't want to accuse them of that. Maybe they just didn't. Maybe they just wanted everything to be super, super family friendly. So like, there's just no kissing. You know what I mean? Because that's the thing too, right? Like in cartoons, the characters won't kiss because kissing is cooties. You know. I'm assuming it's homophobia, so they don't kiss, even though they totally should have kissed, and it would have been super hot. Also, again, even though, as Eli said, I do agree that Miles and Nick is the most obvious ship and the most correct one, I actually really liked this romance plot.
Yeah, it was cute.
And I wanted them to smooch at the end, and they didn't, and it's fucking bullshit. And then they all sing a bunch of songs, like 20 minutes worth of singing.
They do reprises of the "I Love You" song, and
yeah. Also, the reprises have like different lyrics, and they even have some parts where they talk about like what happens next in the plot. So that's kind of cool. They kind of resolve some plot lines, have a little epilogue. Again, it's basically a curtain call slash epilogue, which I guess some musicals do that too. Lots and lots and lots of singing. They all take their bows. The end.
Yep, it was good.
Yeah, it was a good
I
time.
enjoyed it.
It was a good time. It was nice. It was very goofy. It wasn't like a super, super elaborate, sophisticated Hollywood production, right? Or Hollywood, I meant to say Broadway. But yeah, the singing was good. The dancing was good. The sets were good. They did a lot of cool, dramatic set changes that were cool. They would sometimes do things where, like, they would have a solo song in the foreground where it's just total blackness with the spotlight on Nick, like in the front, and that would be disguising a set change, which I always think is a really cool, effective thing. And then the lights come back on, and we're in the courtroom now.
Yeah, they did a really good job with that.
That's good shit. Sometimes they would have flashbacks, and they would just play stuff on the screen, which is funny. That's one way to do it. Let's see, what else is there to say? I don't know. I like dancing.
It was really enjoyable. Yeah. The dancing was great. The singing was fun.
Here's an idea. If they wanted to do something even better, imagine instead of it being a Phoenix Wright musical, it's a Phoenix Wright ballet.
Ooh.
There's no singing, and we don't even really get... I guess you wouldn't be able to have complicated, like, objections and details of crime scenes and investigation. It'd be more just abstract. But, like... Yeah. Just having these characters dancing around and... metaphorically doing an investigation and a court case and just like you just straight vibing, you know, like that's what's important about this. Like, I don't fucking care about the actual investigation. I care about the vibe of like, oh no, Edgeworth is gonna get him. Oh no, he turned it around. You know, like that's way more important.
Yeah.
So I would totally watch. Frankly, every time I watch a musical, I'm like, okay, but what if this was a ballet though?
I think you just really like ballets.
That's just my opinion on ballets versus musicals. Yes. Eli, I believe that there. Did you look into this? I believe there are more of these. Have you looked into it?
There are 3 of them.
Wow.
I was just looking at it. One moment. Hold on. Let's see. And they were all done by Takarazuka Revue.
Nice. Is it the same? I think it's the same actresses too, because I believe the actress who plays Nick, I think that she became rather famous for it.
Yeah. So there's Gyakuten Saibon, The Truth Reborn, which is the one we just watched. Gyakuten Saibon 2, The Truth Reborn again. ... And Gyakuten Saibon 3, Prosecutor Miles Edgeworth.
Ooh. So maybe he's the main character that time.
I would assume. I mean, I can take a look.
That'd be great, because she's great. You know, if I had to have one criticism of this show, there was so much work put into Leona's character, and I thought she was really good and got a lot of stage time, but there wasn't nearly as much put into Miles.
Okay, yeah, unlike its predecessors, which focus on Phoenix Wright, this musical specifically focuses on the exploits of Miles Edgeworth, and is the first musical based on the series to have a case that is completely original, though it still features other characters from the game such as Larry Butts and Tyrell Bad.
Tyrell Bad?
That's apparently someone's name.
I don't recall him from the 2nd or 3rd games. Maybe he's from the 4th, 5th, or 6th games. That's a hilarious name for a character.
Okay. The second Gyakuten Saibon is... It says the plot of the first half of the musical is completely original, while the second half is loosely based on the events of Farewell My Turnabout, which would be another
Farewell My Turnabout, I think is... Wait, no, there's 2 very similar ones. So I think Turnabout Goodbyes is the one on the lake where Miles Edgeworth is the killer, but actually he's not.
Farewell My Turnabout is the 4th and final episode in Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Justice for All.
Gotcha. It's just funny, they're such similar names. Farewell or Goodbye, like, it's it's the fucking same shit. Okay, so that's the climax of the 2nd game. That's a good one. That's a real good one. That's cool. I kind of want to go watch all these. I think if I was going to watch more of them, I would want to get better audio-visual quality.
Yeah.
Just because, again, singing and the dancing is real nice. I would probably torrent it or something. But in the interest of laziness, I don't mind that I watched YouTube on this one, so.
Yeah.
Cool. So, that is it. Thank y'all. Oh, memorable moments. You got any?
I liked the whole thing.
Yep.
I didn't really have anything in particular that stuck out as a memorable moment. I really liked the way the actress portrayed Dick Gumshoe. I thought she did a great job. And I liked the Larry Butts actress was also great.
Yes.
She was very energetic.
Most of my memorable moments, quote unquote, I kind of already weaved in here. But Larry Butts was one that I skipped. I don't know if the other characters did this. I think they probably did. I just didn't notice because it was just maybe subtle or I forgot. But Larry Butts, it was obvious. The actress was very intentionally recreating poses from the game. Like she was doing the thing where his hands are up to his face, his arms are up to his face, and he's like crying kind of.
Yeah.
And then that was one of the poses. And then there was another pose that he does. I forget what the other pose is, but it was like one of the first things she did on the stage was like, oh, that's literally one of the sprites that that they used for him in the game. And I think the other characters did that too. Obviously Phoenix did the slapping the table. And I think Edgeworth had one or two. Like there was one where he what's his main pose? It's like his arms are kind of at a medium height and he sort of looks like he's explaining something smugly, like that sort of pose.
Right.
She did that pose a couple of times, and I was like, it's like the thing from the game. That's just pure fan service. Like, it's just pure, here's a thing you like, and I'm like, you're right, it is a thing I like. I'm
like
a fan,
it,
and you're servicing me this. Cool. Yeah. Final rating. They didn't kiss, so what the fuck?
Yeah. 0 out of 10.
0
out
out of
kissing.
10 for no kissing. That's all I really want is to see girls that are also guys be kissing.
Yes.
So anyway, that's it for Phoenix Wright. Thank you for joining us. As a reminder, next week we are starting on Ease 1 and Ease 2. We're starting the first part of Ease. We're playing up to the point where you rescue some chick from a place.
Fina.
You rescue Princess Fiona from the castle, and
the Castle of Dragon.
Yep, and you're about to go back to the Castle of the Dragon with your friend Donkey, but you're not going to go there yet because you save your game, and then you stop playing, and then you're inside of a shelter, and you're complaining about how no one could ever love a stupid ogre, but then Fiona overhears you and thinks you're talking about her, but really you're talking about yourself, and oh wait, I'm just describing the plot.
And also Smash Mouth is there.
Also Smash Mouth is there. Anyway, that's what we're doing. It's gonna be great. We have a different special guest joining us. I don't think I said who it was last week, so I'm not going to say who it is this week either. So it'll be a surprise. I mean, fucking who cares? It'll be a surprise. Cool. You can go. You can go listen to the next episode right now if you're listening in the future. So then you'll know who the surprise is. Thank you for joining us on our Phoenix Wright venture.
Yes, we did.
I've been.
Wait, did you do the whole? You didn't do the outro.
Oh my! You fucking do it.
I don't remember it. Come see our website. It's rpgbook.club. There's a whole bunch of stuff on there, like our Discord. We are at RPG Book Club on Twitter. We have an email that no one uses. It's rpgbookclub@gmail.com.
For the record, is fine.
Yes.
Fuck email.
You don't have to use it. It's fine.
Email sucks.
I just think it's funny.
It is.
That we continue to plug it and nobody uses it. Email does suck. It's dumb. I just spent last night, marking a ton of emails as read because I was like, I don't want these fucking notifications and most of these are spam. And I think that's all of our things. You should definitely come hang out in our Discord. We're cool people.
Contribute
even
to our
if
Ko-Fi.
I don't talk very often.
Contribute to our Ko-Fi. Give us the money.
Yes, the money.
Update. I'm not going to get into specific details because I don't think that would be appropriate. But fun fact, we were just talking in our Discord. We have a pretty decent chunk of fucking change from all of y'all's donations. Obviously, part of your donations help support the cost of hosting this podcast. But because of some very generous donors, they've gone way above and beyond, and we now have a pretty good bit of money just fucking sitting there. And that's really cool. because the point of having that is we can use it to purchase games for ourselves, but the next games we're playing don't even cost that much money. So like, that's cool. In the future, we might be able to use that to purchase games that are more rare, maybe some games that you, the reader, have always wanted to play but haven't been able to because they cost way too much to get online. Maybe we could play those games and then tell you about them because of this money that we have. So that's obviously the whole idea. That's the reason for the Ko-Fi, and it's cool that it's a success. So look forward to exciting things in the future, and thank you for all of your support and making this a thing that we are going to be able to do.
Thank you very, very much.
Appreciate it. All right.
So now for RPG Book Club, I have been Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
I've been Maddie Grace Webben. Bye, everybody.
Toodaloo!